G'day, good morning, good evening. It's George making you another message of hope report. Let me ask, 20th of February 2026, by the way. Another good day. Let me ask you something that might make you a little uncomfortable. When was the last time your church did a service on money? I'll say it again. When was the last time your church did a series on money? I'm not talking about a nervous one-off Stewardship Sunday where someone clears their throat, mentions the building fund and moves on as quickly as possible. No. I'm suggesting a real, sustained, honest look at what God actually says about wealth and debt and generosity and possessions. All of them play together. So when did that last happen to you? Put on a comment, when did it happen? Well, for a lot of people, the honest answer is perhaps never. I don't know. Or at least not that they can remember. And I think that silence is costing us more than we realize. Let me explain. Because here's something that stopped me cold when I first encountered it. Now I did a little search, the computer helped me. So I found that roughly 31,000 verses in the Bible, more than 2,300 of them, deal with money, possession and wealth. That's a lot of verses. Now just sit with that number for a moment. Think about it. More than prayer, we know how important prayer is. I've got to watch where I'm stepping in this park. More than faith, which is required of us for salvation. More than heaven and hell combined. Wow. Even Jesus himself touched on money in roughly 1 out of every 10 verses in the Gospels. 16 of his 38 parables deal with it directly. 16! So before anyone tells you that money is too worldly, a subject for the pulpit, that number should be your answer. A little bit busy here because it's morning, people going to work and school and all that. Well, when I first heard it, I thought, why? Why would God be so preoccupied with something as ordinary as money? It will be ordinary for him, right? And then I heard a man's story that answered that question better than any theology could. You see, he was a businessman, sharp, driven, successful by every measure the world cares about. He's real. I'm not going to reveal the name. And before he came to Christ, he wasn't just chasing wealth. He was consuming it. He was trampling over people to get it. He was treating relationships as transactions and status as the only currency that mattered to him. So from the outside, it looked like winning. But you know what? From the inside, well, his marriage was quickly falling apart. And the number in his bank account kept going up while everything that actually mattered kept draining him. Now that's what money does when it moves from servant to master. I'm getting to the meat of it here. It doesn't announce the transition, it just happens. And one day you look up and realize the thing that was supposed to give you freedom, yeah, it has you completely control of you. That's why God talks about it so much, I guess. Not because he's obsessed with economics, but because he knows us. He knows how seductive wealth is. How quietly and completely the love of it can pull your heart away from loving him. And he loves us far too much to stay silent about this. Right? I mean, Jesus talked about it. Yeah, Jesus said it very plainly. Matthew chapter 6, verse 24. You probably read this many times and heard it. One more time doesn't hurt, right? Now, no one can serve two masters. For either he will hate the one and love the other, or he will be devoted to the one and despise the other. You cannot serve God and money. I'll say it again, you cannot serve God and money. Not is difficult, not try to find a balance, right? You cannot stop. So I thought I saw a neighbour there. For this I'll say hello. Full stop. Full stop. And God repeats that impossibility across both testaments, New and the Old one, 2,300 different ways. I've said that number before, right? Because he knows how long it takes us to actually hear it. Oh boy, for some of us anyway. So why aren't our churches teaching this? Why aren't they, yeah? I'll just pause. I'll let you comment on that too. Why won't they teach that frequently? Or at least enough, I think. Well, personally, this is a case I saw overseas. Let me tell you something I witnessed once that I haven't been able to figure out. See, a church newsletter, and it's real, as I said, I'm not making things up, was listing by name which families had given and how much. I was stunned. And when I asked why, the answer I got was transparency. Transparency because people would know where the funds were going to, that they weren't misused. Personally, I don't think they were trusting God enough. Yeah. God sees what's happening. God will expose just like what's happening around the world, all the Epstein files and so on, all this nonsense. I understand the intention, but I couldn't find the biblical justifications. I just couldn't. What I could find was Matthew chapter 6 verse 3. This is what Jesus said. When you give to the needy, do not let your left hand know what your right hand is doing. I mean, publicly naming the donors in the newsletter just didn't sit right with me. Come on. Now, the other case you can see very worldwide, and then there's the prosperity gospel, right? The idea that wealth is evidence of God's favor and poverty is a sign of spiritual failure. Nonsense. Nonsense. That teaching has done real damage. It's turning scripture into a transaction and making generous people cynical and hurting people feel ashamed. I understand why some churches now avoid the subjects of money altogether. Yeah, I get that. It's spoiled the whole thing. But you know what? Silence isn't the answer. I think good teaching is. Because in my experience, the Christian drowning in debt, who are enslaved to wealth, which I can't stand, they're unable to give generously. I mean, they're not bad people. They're just undertaught people, not informed. Nobody ever sat them down with an open Bible and said, hey, here's what God actually says about the thing that's consuming in your life. That's my best guess. Again, I mean, that 2,300 verses isn't God being repetitive. It's not being long-winded. It's just perhaps some people are stubborn. I've been there too. And God is a father who knows exactly which conversation his children will keep walking away from. But God, unlike us, he keeps showing up so he can love us and show us the way. Thank goodness for that. Thank God for that too. Alright, thanks for joining me. If you like this video, click that like button, subscribe to the channel, and share the video to someone who really benefit from this. I'll see you on the next one.